Hello friends and welcome back to another episode. So in this one I would like to talk about the best and worst photos of the September 2017 issue of Vogue magazine. So all the big fashion magazines, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, they have two premiere issues every year, which is September and March, 6 months apart. September is the granddaddy. I think that's the most elite. They put all their effort basically into making sure that September is the flagship issue. So generally, of course, September would be launching the fall and winter season, and then the March issue would be launching the spring and summer season for fashion. Okay, but in this issue here, again, this is September 2017 Vogue, and we will cover the best and worst photos. What I feel, of course, is subjective. You know, you're entitled to your own opinion. I ask, though, if you do disagree, please keep it civil. Please keep your comments, on a friendly basis in the comments section. I'll welcome your comments, but just please keep them civil, and we'll talk about the best and worst photos. Okay, so let's get started. So the first one, I think it's probably one of the best in the magazine, if not the best. Okay, so let's talk about this photo here from Vince Camuto and Dillard's. So let's talk about why I believe it's the best. So first, if you've done shoots outdoors and indoors, you know that indoor shoots in a studio are generally very favorable to the photographer and the model for a number of reasons, right? You control the lighting, you can control, there's no wind, the sun, you don't have to fight the sun, the temperature, right? So if it's very hot, the model's makeup starts to run instantly. She starts beating up sweat, and she starts, their makeup gets ruined. If there's high humidity, if she had a very nice hairstyle, the humidity just completely blows out the hairstyle within 5 or 10 minutes. So you really have a tight window. If you shoot outdoors and the conditions aren't perfect, you literally have about 10 minutes to get your shot, and then all the makeup and the hair are gone. So again, high points to the photographer, and Vince Camuto, for having the courage to shoot outdoors in the first place instead of in the studio. But I love this on a lot of different levels. Okay, the model, her makeup, it's not overly done. It's actually quite modest. The clothing and the car are in agreement. This is late 60s or early 70s, right? The boots, the dress with the French sleeves here, or the flared sleeves, the simple hairstyle, the Cadillac, all these are indicative of late 60s, early 70s, except the taxi. But then again, I'm not going to nitpick this. But again, the creative team nailed it with the time period. Okay, everything is in agreement with the time period. Nice, shallow depth of field. The model in the back of the car here are crisp in focus, and then they blew out the background, but it's not so overly blown out that it's indistinguishable, right? So you can still make out the houses in the background, or the row houses, or whatever you want to call them, in the background. The geometry. So one leg is straight, the other leg is bent, creating some geometry here. Same with the arms. There's a flow here. There's a beautiful geometry with the arms. So everything about this photo is just wonderful. I can't give this photo, and the whoever shot this, I don't know who shot it, the makeup people, hair, it's just a home run. So this is a beautiful photo. Let's go on. Okay. Next is Gigi. She did a shoot for Reebok. Okay, so let's talk about that one. Okay, so let me make sure I'm kind of in the frame here. Okay, so in the Gigi, this is just a wonderful shot. She's stretching here, she's stretching, and she's accentuating her frame, right, her physique. Just a beautiful pose. New York City rooftop, right? It looks kind of daring, but you can see some other shots. There's, obviously they have some safety equipment down here. These stairs, this is like a spiral staircase, or a staircase that goes down. So she's safe, of course. There's no risk of her getting injured here. But I'm saying it just works. So the only thing, this is a home run, I believe, but the only thing that the team did is they tried to piece these two photos together, and they didn't do a very good job, because you can see here the sky's a little blown out, and over here the sky is darker. They tried to They tried to fit in this ledge, right? They tried, and it did, you know, it's okay. And they even did the skyline. So if you look at the horizon, they tried to blend in the horizon. But you can see the light is at a different time of day. So you can see here, the light is on this side of the building and the front is in shadow. So all these sides of the building, the sun is low on the horizon. Looks like the sun is either, you know, it's low on the horizon. It's illuminating the sides of the building. You have some in shadow, but over here the sun is in a different position, and you have a lot of things in sunlight. So here the sun was obviously higher in the sky, and here the sun is lower in the sky. And they tried to piece these two photos together, and they didn't do a very good job. So again, it's a little slight nick, you know, slight critique, but overall the photo is a home run, and I still give them high marks because it's just a beautiful photograph. And this is also, so you can see here she has some moles, and I've seen different photos of Gigi where she has some moles, but they didn't try to Photoshop those out, right? They let her be a human being, right? And it kept the moles. And I think that's a good trend in photography, is they're letting people be people. Even if you have some blemishes or some moles or some skin tags, right? Hey, we accept you for who you are, and we're just going to deal with it and roll on. So again, high praise for them not editing out the moles on her stomach area. Okay, let's move on. This is a beautiful photo here too. So obviously this is a studio shot. This is what I was trying to illustrate earlier, the difference between when a studio portrait is done properly here. So you can see the lighting is just perfect on this model. It's absolutely gorgeous. You know, a lot of contrast here. So you can see the contrast in the facial area, right? It's not all just bland and blown out. There's contrast in the face. She's wearing sequins, right? You can see some of the light is popping off some of the sequins, and in some areas it's a little bit flatter. So you have contrast in the sequins. The lipstick is perfect. The eyeliner, her eyebrows, the eyeshadow, the rouge on her cheeks, everything is just freaking gorgeous. And this is for L'Oreal, right? So that's a L'Oreal shoot. The only thing I don't like about the photo technically is this text. Okay, like again, we talked about Harper's Bazaar. I don't think Harper's would have allowed this text here. They would have asked L'Oreal to move the text down so that the photo is not obscured, the photo is not defaced in any way. So that's the only one thing I regret, is that this text actually defaces the photograph. It ruins the entire photo. This should have been moved down here so we can enjoy this photograph kind of unmolested and unharmed. Okay. But again, the lighting, everything is perfect. Beautiful photograph. Okay, let's see, what do we have next? Okay, this one is beautiful. So I was thinking about, this photo is so good, the model's pose. I'm thinking about if there were an award. So we have 3 major awards in the US, right? We have the Academy Awards, the Oscars, the Emmys, and the Tonys. The Oscars are for motion pictures, Emmys are for television, and the Tonys are for live theater, right? Stage productions. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be cool if there was an award show for the fashion magazine industry, right? So you have an award show, best model, you know, like the best pose. You have best makeup artist. So of all the different spreads throughout the year, which one had the best makeup? Well, there's a category for best hair. There's a category for best wardrobing. There's a category for best gaffer or lighting, and there's one for best grip. So if you know different things in the background, so you can recognize everybody: grip, gaffers, model, hairstylist, makeup artist, photographers, set designers. Everybody could be recognized. So what I'm getting at with that is, and it led me to that idea, was this photo. So here, I've never seen probably a better pose from a model. So number one, it's kind of sensual, right? The overall theme of this photo is sensual, but look at her face, the vulnerability on her face. She actually looks quite vulnerable here, right? This is a kind of a very, very emotional, almost kind of romantic moment, right? And everything is just right with this photograph. I mean, it's just firing on all cylinders. So again, Notori, I believe if that's pronounced. But again, it's just a beautiful photograph. Just look at that expression. Just, she nailed it. Doesn't get better than that. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about 2. There's 2 worst, I think, that are just horrible photographs. And again, I'm not really, you know, I think you know me from my videos. I'm not one to really criticize others, but I have to in this regard because these photos are just awful. So let me find them. Okay, so let's talk about the two worst, and that would be this one here is one of the worst. This is just dreadful. It's a dreadful photo. I mean, it's indoors where they can control the lighting. It looks like they used like about I'm thinking here they used 2 speed lights, so you can tell the hot spot. One of the strobes, it's not even really hitting the model. They got the strobe firing, and it's not even hitting the model. They got the strobe. This is the hot spot, so it's missing the model. The illumination on the model isn't really so bad, but then you got a lot of fall off over here. So you got some illumination here, and this area is falling into darkness. This is falling into darkness. So this is really horrible photography. And again, I understand it's done deliberately for some type of, but this is not creative. So if they're trying to be creative and show this fall off, right, and they're trying to show simplicity by using speed lights instead of big monoblocks or studio strobes, it just fails. This is a failed photo. It's horrible. The photographer's low shooting up toward the model, right? And it looks like they're using, obviously it's a wide angle lens. The wide angle is making her look ridiculously tall. Her body is not in proportion, right? Because she looks much taller than she does here. So this is all jacked up. Her proportions are all jacked up. The strobe, the hotspot missing the model. It's just flat. There's no contrast. This is just a ghastly photograph. I mean, this is horrible. Okay, so let's go back onto the other one. And you're going to be surprised at what I feel is horrible. So this is the photographer who is now phoning it in. Just like if you watched Brando toward the end of his career, he was phoning it in. He would appear on the set, and he gave it no effort whatsoever. He was just reading lines and collecting paychecks. And it's the same with Robert De Niro today. So if you've seen any Robert De Niro movies in the last 5 years or so, they're horrible. Okay, he's doing the same thing as Brando. He's just appearing on the set, phoning it in, and collecting paychecks. So Annie Leibovitz, one of the greatest photographers of our time. But here's the problem with Annie. She's acquired the Brando and De Niro syndrome, where she doesn't care anymore, and it's obvious in her photographs. She's just phoning it in and collecting checks. So this photograph is just dreadful. It's underexposed, and she's back to the same, right? She's been doing this for a long time now. Her photos are very grossly underexposed. She's using this backdrop, and you can see here she's actually to the point where she's plagiarizing herself badly. Okay, we've seen this a million times in Vanity Fair because she shoots for Vanity Fair. This is one of her, I don't know how many images from like Vanity Fair. No variation in her setups. It's the same photo. Here, she's there's two levels of plagiarism going on here. So actually 3 levels. So okay, this was Avedon, right? Avedon was kind of really the first to me to photograph the grip equipment in the photo. So he didn't mind that the grip equipment was in the photo. So you can see here the C-stand and the grip knuckle, right? And you can see here the backdrop, the edge of the backdrop is in the photo. So Avedon did that. Here's another, some grip equipment, right? The other C-stand is over here. So I don't have any problem with that because she's really not plagiarizing Avedon. But so she did this a long time ago, Demi Moore. So she did Demi Moore, what, 20 years ago, right? Then recently she did Serena Williams, the same pregnancy shot. So the Serena Williams she was plagiarizing her own photo of Demi Moore. Now look at this photo. It's almost the same as the Serena shot. It looks like it was done in this very same location. You got the grip equipment, you got the backdrop, and it's a very similar pose to the Serena pregnancy pose. So I mean, it's just, there's no originality in this photo whatsoever. Zero originality. She's done this a million times. She's just, like I say, she's just phoning it in. Annie is just phoning it in. Horribly underexposed. There's no contrast. The image is flat. Here you got Linda Evangelista, who was famous in the 90s, right? She was a muse for Steven Meisel. She did awesome, beautiful work for Meisel. She shows up on the set here for Annie, and Annie's just phoning it in. Hey, have a seat, Linda. Let me take your picture and turn this shit in so I can collect my money, right? Same here, dreadful photographs. So again, shame on Annie Leibovitz because, again, she's no better now than Brando and De Niro, and it's quite shameful to me. So that was the best and worst of Vogue magazine, September 2017, and I thank you for watching.